So I want to talk about language, because I think one of the driving forces for the reason why change doesn't happen is that we just don't have the words. There was an experiment done a while ago where they put students in a room. We always take students for experiments. And they had to play a game. In this game, they could either win by competing or by collaborating. So the rules were explained to the students, and then they were told that the name of the game was Wall Street Game. There was a second group of students. They were playing the same game, and they were told you can compete or you can collaborate, and both can lead to victory. The same explanation, word by word, but this time the students were told that the name of the game was Community Game. And guess what happened? In the first group, they tended to compete like crazy. In the second group, they collaborated. When we hear words like Wall Street, it opens worlds in our minds. It counts with stories, with experience, with emotions. So societies are always driven by combinations of words that form narratives. And these combinations of words, they change over time. We would not understand, well, we might understand the words used by ancient Romans, but it would not touch our hearts. Actually, there's this funny survey done that shows that men tend to think about the Roman Empire at least once per day, half of them. For women, the numbers are smaller, but I guess with Gladiator number 2, it will go up. We might know some of these words, like dignitas, pietas, pater familias. We might know these words, but they don't resonate with us. They tell us nothing. So when we hear words from other times, from other societies, from other worlds, they don't make us do something. We don't act. It doesn't touch us. Think about the Middle Ages. Words like heaven and hell, purgatorium, landlord. It would drive people's thinking every day. No, and now I finish without, thanks. These words for us, they're just interesting maybe because we read history, we like history, but they don't touch us anymore, they don't move us. We have other words. We have consumption, we have brands, we have life-work balance, we have home office. So we have words that for us open horizons, open worlds. Now think about the vocabulary that we need for the ecological transformation. Just take the word sufficiency. What does it do when people hear the word sufficiency? What they normally tend to think is sufficiency means they won't be sent back to the Neanderthaler times, right? Or they will say the Green Party tries to forbid my barbecue. So some of these words come with fear. Fear that someone is going to take something away from me, and we don't want that. We're against it. And then there are the other words. Words that we hear, but they fall flat. Atmospheric pressure. You might have seen recently, there was this guy on US TV who cried when he said that the pressure fell by, I guess, 50 bar in 10 hours, or 5 bar, I've forgotten the numbers, they're on my slides. He was crying because he was the expert who understood what that means. We hear these words, they don't touch us. Ocean acidification doesn't touch us. Well, we might intellectually understand this. We're just in a workshop where I was before, we were talking about this and other planetary boundaries. There's a paper that was published in 22 by 2 ocean biologists, and they predict that by 45, the pH value of our oceans will go down from 8.1 to 7.95. Again, that doesn't touch our hearts, it doesn't mean anything to us. But what it means in reality is that the entire food chain of the oceans will collapse in 21 years. And that should make us cry, right? But it doesn't. It doesn't touch us. Our biggest challenge is we don't have the words. We don't have the words to form the narratives that touch our hearts in a way that we move, that we do something, that we do not just intellectually understand the urgency, but that it makes us do something. Every time, the philosopher Richard Rorty once said, every time has what he calls a a vocabulary that drives what we think, what we find important, what we do, how we justify behavior, how we motivate each other. Every time has this vocabulary. We don't have it. We don't have it. We focus on science, we focus on all the important projects that many of you are doing, but we don't have the overarching language that would make us understand and feel what we have to do. What we need is myth makers, poets, musicians, story writers, and all these have to work together to help us to unite these things that we do into a bigger narrative. There is this famous Icelandic poet, Andri Magnusson. He has written a book that I highly recommend. It's called On Time and Water. And what he does in this book, he says, I have to try to make people feel what ocean acidification means by embedding this for my people in Iceland into our myths, into the story of my own family, to make them feel what it means if glaciers disappear. Because only then we will move. If we don't have the language, we can pile up one scientific study over another. It will not change anything. So what we have totally underestimated so far is the power of words, and we need to engage more with that, maybe even at E4S. Thank you.
All right, now we're gonna do a fun segment right now. We have 3 pictures from the exhibitions outside. Oh, yeah, sure. Yes, let's do 2.
I'm happy that it happened to me and not to Laurence. So.
All right. Yeah, we do have a couple of questions here.
Good.
Okay. There is one, for example, that says the word sustainability or sufficiency seem to scare the rich people and developed countries and not make sense to the global south, as Paula Yanguas was saying earlier. So any suggestions of a better name to bring us all together?
I don't think it's about this one word or any other word. It's about the future we imagine behind the words. And that is what fills the words with the emotions. I mean, if you take a word like paterfamilias in the ancient Roman world, it meant a lot of different things about the relations between people. So it's not the word that counts, it's the world behind the word that we have to imagine, and we haven't done this so far. We have all these fragmented projects, and they're all good and important, but who tells the story across all these projects that becomes our narrative as societies? A narrative that needs to be global, because it's shared problems, and local, because it has to resonate with different types of people in different contexts, which is a big challenge.